I gotta say, the United Polaris lounges are always one of my favorite lounges around the world. There's a handful of them here in the United States. They've got everything you might need for a lounge visit. Sit-down dining, drinks, super comfortable spaces to chill and work from, and then these showers. Super refreshing just before a long-haul flight. Now, if you thought this lounge was cool, wait till the end of the video after we've arrived in Frankfurt, where the actual Lufthansa lounge is even cooler. That's not one that you'll want to miss, because this is the United lounge. We're flying Lufthansa first class, and then that lounge is going to be super nice. When we're there, I'll also share with you how I actually booked this first class flight for a fraction of the cost. It usually costs about $10,000, $15,000, but I managed to get it for only about $100 out of pocket. And along the way, I'll share with you a little story that I think hopefully you'll find useful or valuable. Now it's about time to board, so let's go. Okay guys, we've taken off on Lufthansa first class, 9 hours over to Frankfurt. This is actually the first ever first class product I've ever flown. So that was 5 years ago. It's quite nostalgic to be back. And in this video, we'll do the usual review, but I'm also going to take you a little bit into the personal side, because after all, this is my Ricky Jong YouTube channel. I want to share a little bit more about the journey and what it's like on the road, what it's like to do the work we do at Prince of Travel, and give you a little bit more of an insight. So waiting till dinner is served and then we'll get going. Overall, I'm not sure how I feel about this Lufthansa first class amenity bag. On one hand, it is functional. It's nice that it's see-through. You can see all the contents inside. On the other hand, there's no luxury brand collaboration like you'll find on some of the other airlines in first class. So I would have expected a little bit better from Lufthansa first class. Now, I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about my evolving relationship with travel. This is a travel channel after all. We do flights, we've done travel videos. Turning 30 this year, but I've been fortunate to travel since a young age, and entering adulthood, travel was the thing that really got me fired up. It was my area of passion. And that's changed throughout my 20s up until now. I thought it'd be interesting to share that story. I think the caviar is about to be served though, so let's wait for that. Now, as we're digging in, to continue where we left off earlier, when I was first starting out, when I was first going out to see the world on my own, I was very much in a maximalist, anything goes, as much travel as possible kind of mindset. As long as I could go somewhere new, expand my horizons, doesn't matter where, doesn't matter how long, what journey I took to get there, I was down for it, right? I was game to go travel. I just wanted to go travel. I just wanted to go to a new place. And for a long time, for many, many years, that was how I approached travel. I went to Brazil in 2014. I backpacked across Europe in 2015. And I was so into it. I just kept pursuing, and then eventually decided to make travel, more of a pursuit than just actually going on the trip, but instead making it part of my career, right? First as a side hustle with Prince of Travel when it started, and then as a full-time job, as a full-time company, full-time creator at first, before it then evolved into a full-time company. And it was very much that initial unbounded, innate desire to travel that led me to Miles and Points and how to unlock travel at a fraction of the price, how to travel more, how to have better travel experiences. And that's what brought me to business class flights, first class flights, staying at nice hotels and sharing that with the world through the work we're doing at Prince of Travel. And as things picked up steam, picked up traction at Prince of Travel, I slowly began to see this initial relationship with travel shift over time. But it was an interesting transformation, and perhaps something that some of you may resonate with in terms of how your relationship with travel travel has evolved over time. So continuing the story here, I remember there was one specific moment, one specific trip that I had gone on that was the moment that I realized that things were changing. My relationship with travel was evolving. This was a trip in early 2022, shortly after the pandemic. I went to Colombia, beautiful country, first time visit. So I was in Medellin, and then I had taken a side trip, day trip, to this area called Guatapé, this beautiful lake area, right? You've got like hills, lakes. It's really scenic. This type of travel experience was something I had cherished so dearly, something I had, gotten so far out of my way to pursue, but now it was no longer really giving me that same high, that same hit. Don't get me wrong, Guatapé was beautiful, had a great trip. I'd love to go back someday. But I do remember feeling that the pure act of having this new experience, seeing a new place, it wasn't quite the same. Obviously, travel would always be a huge part of my life. It's always going to be. It's what I love. It runs my blood. But I needed to get more out of travel than just traveling for the sake of travel and seeing some new place, having a new experience. I'm going to finish my food here. It is pretty tasty. And then we'll continue later on. All right, guys, here we've got a little cheesecake for dessert. Looks really nice. They actually take a cart down the aisle and they've got cheese plate, cheesecake, and we got a little black tea as well. Just came by, and that's about it for the meal.
So at this stage in the journey, definitely getting a little bit sleepy. They're performing turn down service while we're in here, which is a really nice feature of Lufthansa First Class. They'll make your bed for you, and let's go get some sleep, and we'll continue the story later. And don't forget, the best thing about Lufthansa First Class is arguably the ground experience, the incredible lounge in Frankfurt that we haven't even visited yet, so we're gonna get there when we wake up in the morning. So I'll see you after getting some sleep, and then we'll hit the lounge.
It's looking like another beautiful sunrise over Europe. Sunrise from 35,000 feet, that's truly always going to be one of the simple pleasures of life. Let's continue to talk a little bit about what my travel style looks like in the present day. Beyond that pure act of traveling, what else am I optimizing for? So there's three main things. We'll talk through them one by one. Number one is what you see right now, content creation. Content creation is how we do business, right? How we inspire our viewers to travel more, how we teach people how to use points to travel, to have experiences just like this one over on our Prince of Travel channel. So whenever I'm traveling, part of my mind is thinking about how can I make the best travel content, the most compelling, the most attention-grabbing, the most informative, the most inspiring, to continue to help more and more people, more and more of the viewers that we've been building up for the past 7 years, build up their knowledge and build up their confidence to travel and unlock some of the same experiences that I've had over the years for themselves. So obviously content creation is core to our business. It's how we spread our message. So that's number one. Number two, thing that I'm optimizing for when I'm traveling is relationship building. And this is maybe a little bit surprising, like what does travel have to do with relationship building? A lot of our partners, airlines, hotels, loyalty programs, they're based all over the world. It's important to meet people, have dinner, nurture these relationships. There's also friends of mine, old friends, new friends, who live all over the world or who are also traveling a lot as well. And it's really important to me to be able to keep up with them. And I try to do that through these regular trips, especially to some of the world's major cities. So for example, right now we're flying to Frankfurt. After that, we're going to London and having dinner with a friend before moving on to Southeast Asia as part of this trip. Number three is just fueling, continuing to fuel my personal growth. One of the ways is I continue to try to check off major items on my travel bucket list. And the act of checking off those destinations, a few of them every year, helps me build the habit of being somebody who checks off my bucket list, being somebody who sets ambitious goals and meets them. So just to take an example of this, last year, November, I took a trip out to Easter Island in Chile, which is a place I've always dreamed of going. And it was so beautiful, so magical. so amazing to be part of the Polynesian experience and, get to be up close and personal with the magic of that particular island out there in the Pacific Ocean. It's a place I've always dreamed of going, a place I've always looked at the map and thought, wondered what it would be like to go out there. And being able to do so reinforces to me the fact that I'm somebody who has an ambitious list of travel destinations that I'd like to go to, and I'm going to hit them a couple of destinations every year, and I'm going to check off the list eventually. It took a little bit of a walk, but we made it. Lufthansa First Class Terminal. One of the rites of passage for anybody traveling on points, pursuing luxury travel. This is an incredible space, a first class lounge all on its own in its own building. Let's go check it out. And now welcome to the most insane feature of the Lufthansa First Class Terminal. That's of course this private shower room, complete with a bathtub. This is an absolutely insane experience. It's one of the few places that you get to take a bath in the airport. I mean, technically, I guess it's off the premises of the airport, but, first class terminal, bathtub, it doesn't get more special than that. We got here a little rubber ducky. The beautiful thing about these three prongs of what motivates me to travel now, my travel style that I'm optimizing for, I get to tailor each trip, as seamlessly as possible. I'm always trying to optimize each trip to check off as many of these boxes as I can. So for example, on this trip, the reason I'm going to Singapore is to spend quality time with my wife. Her Christmas present was tickets to the Taylor Swift concert next week. So we're going to go to that concert, but on the way, tell the story I want to tell, right? I want to represent myself authentically. So instead of just sharing the flight experience like I have in the past on this channel, I also wanted to delve into some of these personal insights that have been floating around in my mind. And along the way, also number 2, relationship building. Dinner tonight in London with a good friend, and then Singapore as well, a lot of contacts that I'd like to either catch up with or meet for the first time. It's going to be a great opportunity, and it's all about finding those opportunities and squeezing in as much valuable time in person as possible when I'm on the road. Okay, it's time to get out of the bath, but if you thought this was cool, stick around because this isn't even the coolest thing about the Lufthansa First Class ground experience. There's one more element later on when we catch the next flight that's just gonna blow you away. Here we've got the private sleeping rooms in the Lufthansa First Class Lounge. It's pretty basic, so maybe not quite as nice as some of the other major sleeping rooms in airport lounges. So obviously, no matter what kind of travel style, travel is an incredible privilege. Whether you're backpacking, staying at hostels, or flying first class, using points, maximizing points, staying at nice places, it's a blessing to be able to explore the world. And that's what I've always stood for. That's what I've always been passionate about. And that will never change. But if you're watching this channel, you're probably a big traveler as well. You love to fly, you love to travel. And I invite you to think a little bit about what your travel style is right now and how you might see it evolving in the future. What are the possibilities for how it could shift a year from now, a couple of years down the line? If right now travel for you is just an escape from the grind, right? A new environment, a way to escape, a vacation, let's say, something you do once or twice a year, that's fine, but it could be so much more, right? Travel can have such a range of possibilities, can add so much to your life, can help you impact so many lives as well, as I've personally experienced. And so I invite you to think a little bit about it and share in the comments whatever you come up with, right? What's your travel style? What's the thing that you're optimizing for when you travel the world? Is it fueling your personal growth? Is it just fun and freedom like I was for the past 5, 6, 7 years? Is it potentially making content just like this? Let me know in the comments. I'm keen to hear what you come up with. And as I promised, I'll share with you how I actually booked this trip. So this flight, Houston to Frankfurt to London, and then onwards to Bangkok tomorrow. was all booked for 150,000 Aeroplan points, plus about $200 in fees. And the way this works is, if you just book Houston, Frankfurt on Lufthansa, that's about 100,000 points already. If you book London, Bangkok, that's 100,000 points on its own. And so if you combine the two, it turns out that, because it's a North America to Pacific chart, if you look at the charts, you see the price. It's only 150,000 points, so a relatively good deal for 2 long-haul first-class flights. So really try to optimize this one. It was tricky because these flights, Lufthansa first class especially, you have to try to book it at the last minute, right? It's about 14 days out that they tend to release the space to book on points, and these days it's closer to 2 or 3 days out. So I had to be able to plan fast, think on my feet, but I made this trip happen because I was feeling like we needed to have more of a conversation in these videos, and I'm looking forward to keeping that conversation going. For now though, I'm now reminded that Lufthansa first class was actually the first class I ever did back in the day. That was five and a half years ago in October 2017. And I remember when I was having this experience on the car, it was just completely mind-blowing, something crazy. And now, five and a half years later, having done this car transfer on the airport thing a few times, Lufthansa, Air France, Air Canada, and Lufthansa again, I can definitively say it's something that just never gets old. And it's kind of fitting that this is the video that we do a bit of reflections and think back on the journey. So if you want to see some more reflections, check out this video that we recently published. I'll see you over there.